Hey guys, welcome to another video on my channel, and today in this video I am going to tell you how I grew my capital 200% just in 6 months. So this is not any kind of clickbait thumbnail, so I am going to show you with the verified P&L records how I was able to grow my capital. So this was all done with just one stock, and that is IDFC Bank. So today I am going to share with you when I entered IDFC Bank and how I position sized and how was my risk management and how I was able to increase my capital or grow my capital. So now I'm going to take you to a screen recording where I'll be doing detailed analysis both fundamentally and technically and tell you when exactly I decided to enter the stock. So this is a stock which I have been following for almost around 2 to 3 years now, but I was waiting for the right entry. So now we'll be discussing certain fundamental factors which makes IDFC Bank a really good investment. IDFC Bank was actually formed in 2018 when IDFC and Capital First merged. So when these companies merged, so they had very high cost of borrowing. So whenever they got a loan, it was almost close to around 7.6%, and you can see that in screener. So their cost of borrowing initially was around 7.6%. So now when they actually got the banking license, they could accept deposits from customer and also lend loans to customers. So this is a really good diversification in their business, because once they started to accept deposits from customers, their cost of borrowing started to decrease from 7.6% in 2019. Now it had come down to almost around 6.8% as of March 2022, and the current account savings account ratio also increased drastically. So it was almost around 9% in 2019 to 48% in 2022. So this front, it was really healthy for the bank because they were able to reduce their cost of borrowing. So now going to the asset side or the lending side, because they were lending to only infrastructure companies, their NPS was really high. And once they were able to lend to commercial and retail segment, so their NPS started decreasing and even the collection efficiency ratio started improving. So you can see that before, the retail and commercial loan was only 35% in 2018 of the total loan book. But later in 2022, 72% of the total loans were retail and commercial loans. Also, on the other hand, you can see that this helped them increase their net profit margin from almost around 3% to 6%. And finally, you can also see the impact on the NPS. The NPS decreased from 4.15% in the previous fiscal year to 3.7%. This is the gross NPA, and the net NPA also decreased from 1.86 to 1.5%, and the total collection efficiency stood at 99.6%. So you can see that these are some really good numbers on the fundamental front, but in spite of that, in 2019 and 20, the company reported a loss. So this was because any good change you make will take some time to reflect on the balance sheet and P&L statement. You can see in 2021 and 22, the company was back to profits, and whatever they had done started to reflect on the books. So now you might ask, why exactly didn't you enter the stock when the fundamentals was good from the beginning, right? So that is what I'm going to discuss with the technical aspect. So now when we actually look at the charts of IDFC Bank, right? So entering in 2020 was out of question because there was a lot of fear, and that time I was not trading futures that actively. So a more logical question would be, when things were actually changing in 2021 and 22 and even in 23, why didn't I enter before? So I could have entered at 53, or I could have entered at 60. So why did I actually wait till 70? So 70 was my first entry price. So why did I actually have to wait till 70? So the answer to that is, when things are good on the fundamental front, so I was also waiting for a technical breakout, because a classic example is ITC. So when I actually open the chart of ITC, so you can see right over here what ended up happening. In 2017, the stock made a high of almost around 350, right? So after that, the stock ended up consolidating for almost around 5 to 6 years without giving a breakout. Even though the fundamental factors were really good and the company was doing really well, the stock didn't move. So if I had entered in 2017 or 18 or even 2021 or 22, so I had to wait a long time for me to get my returns. But if the stock comes to momentum, so for example, in this particular case, you can see the stock actually got its momentum once it broke 350 in January 2023. Within the next 6 to 8 months, the stock made a high of almost around 500. This is a return of close to around 40% in just around 7 to 8 months. So whenever a stock breaks all-time high or 52-week high and comes to momentum, the chances with our future trades going right increases. So in the same case, when we actually look at IDFC Bank, so you can see that the stock was consolidating below the level of 70 for quite some time. So it made its listing around the range of 70. Again, it had retested in 2018, one more retest in 2021, and finally it retested in May of 2023, right? So right over here is when it actually gave a breakout above 70, and this is the same breakout I was waiting for. Even though there were opportunities to buy at 50, 60, or even maybe somewhere around late 40s, I was waiting for the stock to break 70 because I knew for a fact that once that is done, we are going to get very good momentum on the stock. So now I have just opened the daily chart to explain the entire trade. So you can see this is where we made our first entry once it broke 70, and I had kept a very tight stop loss below 70. So once we got a daily close above 70, my idea was whenever the stock closes below 70, I'm going to square off. Here is where I entered 2 lakh quantity of IDFC Bank by risking close to around 1 to 2 points. So the total risk involved in this trade was close to around 5 lakh rupees on a capital of 50 lakh, which was close to around 10% of my capital. And luckily for me, the stock went up, took support, and saw a fantastic rally. So now the thing is, you can see right over here what exactly ended up happening. So right over here, I started to trail my stop loss. From previous 70, now I had shifted my stop loss to any close below 75. So 74 to 75. So during this rally itself, I almost got close to around 10 points where I was able to capture around 20 lakh profit. So during this rally itself, I almost captured around 10 points. So from 71, it went up all the way to 83. And on 2 lakh quantity, I was able to make close to around 20 lakh. So this is close to 40% of my originally invested capital. And now, since I had also trailed my stop loss, so even if I was exiting, I used to exit with a profit. Then we saw a down move and the stock almost came to around 75. This is where I added further quantity because you can see from this point, the risk to reward is very favorable. So I'm just taking 1 point risk because my stop loss is just 1 point away and my reward can be pretty big. So here I further increased my quantity by another 2 to 3 lakh and making the overall quantity to close to around 4.5 lakh. Right. So after that, again we saw a fantastic rally towards 83, and with this rally, so again I was able to make a total gain of around 35 to 40 lakh. So by this time, my capital had already grown by 80%. So 80% of the initial capital was already made. At this point, because the stock was consolidating, so I cleared some of my quantity and I started reducing my quantity. And then finally, after consolidating for one whole month, towards the end of July, the stock finally gave a breakout above 85. So you can see below 85, it literally held for a month. So once it gave a breakout above 85, so now my stop loss was very clear. Any close below 85, I would square off all my positions. So I was actually, by this time, I already started hedging my positions. So I used to have 75p, 80p, 78p, even 70p. So I continuously kept on hedging my positions and bringing my hedge closer so that even in the worst case, if the market fell by 10% or 20%, my profits was always capped. Right. So now, once this breakout was seen, I trailed my stop loss to 85. Again, you can see the pattern repeated. So there was some good amount of consolidation for 10 to 20 days. And finally, we got another breakout right over here. So this made me trail my stop loss to 89. So now all I was waiting was whenever the stock gave a closing below 89, I would exit my entire trade. So this way I kept on trailing my stop loss as and when we got to see a good move. Again, you can see what happened. It made a good rally, consolidated, finally gave a breakout. By looking at this, you can see what is going to be my next stop loss. So my next stop loss is going to be any close below 93. So 93.5 is the level which I'm looking at. So if IDFC Bank gives a closing below 93.5, I'm going to exit all my trade. So this is a way I started to manage risk and trail my stop loss as and when the stock started to go up. So right now also I hold close to around 3 lakh quantity, and during this whole rally I was able to make close to around 70 lakh from IDFC Bank, and few other future trades and option trades put together, I was able to make another 10 lakh. During the last 4 to 5 months, on a total capital of 50 lakh, I was almost able to make a profit of 70 to 80 lakh. So now the question is, how did it actually become triple, right? So the answer is, whenever the stock went up and we got M2M gains, I used this M2M gains to put it back into equity stocks. So while I was doing that, in this market rally, even the equities ended up surging. So one of the stocks which I put is BSE. So you know BSE has already gone up by 60%. So then I also started putting a lot more in IDFC Bank itself. So this way I put in a lot of equities, which also ended up surging, because of which I was able to make additional 18 to 20 lakh, resulting in an overall gain of 1 crore. So now I'll be logging into the back office, showing you the reports, and also attaching the verified P&L down below in the description. So don't forget to check that out. So I am trading in my mother's account. So this is where I trade all my futures. So in my account, I trade only options, and this is the account where I had put in 50 lakh and started trading futures. So when I open my position book, you can also see that right now I'm carrying close to around 3 lakh quantity of IDFC September futures and 85 put option. So my profit is always going to be safe, even with a 10% or a 20% gap down. So this particular futures will be exited below 93.3. And now I am going to go to the back office report. You can see currently we are running with a unrealized P&L of close to around 17 lakh 28,000 with this trade. So from April till the current date, which is 8th of September, you can see that we have made a realized P&L of 62 lakh. Then we have a net realized P&L of 60 lakh. So 2 lakh has almost gone in charges. So plus we have an unrealized P&L of 17 lakh 87,000. So this I'm just going to add, and you can see that we get close to around 78 lakh in profits. So 60 lakh of realized plus 17 lakh of unrealized. So this is the total F&O gain which we have made from April. So most of it, almost close to 70 lakh, has come from one stock alone, and that is IDFC Bank. And now, whenever we started getting this MTM, as I told you, I used to put it back into equities, because of which we have some equity gains also. And I'm going to show you that. So you can see that we have a realized equity gain of 2,46,000. I'm just going to add this. We also have an unrealized equity gain of 21,15,000. So let's add the same here. So you can see that once I add up everything, we have a total gain of 1 crore 1 lakh. So 1.01 lakh. And this is the gain what we have made in just April till September, right? So what I'm going to do now is alongside, I'm also going to create a new verified P&L link right in this video. So you can see that I'll just paste the link. This is the same link which will be also available in the description. So this is the equity P&L link, and now I'm also going to generate one more verified P&L link for F&O. So this is the F&O P&L link. So I'll be attaching both of these links in the description below, so you can check the verified P&L records of this account. So one more very important thing is, throughout me carrying IDFC Bank, I always hedge the position such that my maximum risk or my profit is always capped. Right? You can see this ATP right over here. First we started with 65p, then you can see 80p, 78p, 70p, 85p, so on. So if you just end up adding all the losses from the hedge, right? So it is easily going to cross well over 12 to 15 lakhs. So 3 lakh over here, 6 lakh over here. And this is absolutely fine, because we were always prepared for the worst case event, right? And now also we have a hedge at 85. So we are always prepared for the worst case event, and the risk was always managed. It was never that tomorrow if there is a 10% gap down or 20% gap down, we would lose all the profits. So this is one good trade where I actually waited for almost 1.5, 2 years to get the right entry. So once I saw the breakout, I immediately hopped onto it and I rode the rally. So one good trade was able to make a huge impact and huge difference in my total trading capital, because I was able to literally triple the trading capital in just. So I hope this video was informative and useful. You also got an idea on how we end up picking stocks, or how I was able to ride the entire rally in IDFC futures, how I managed the risk during the last 3 to 4 months when we were carrying futures. So if this video was useful, then do not forget to hit the like button, share this video, and follow me for more. Thank you so much for watching.